At the 2019 edition of Viva Tech, there were two Swiss innovations that are making a lot of buzz. One of them we've already met at a previous Tech Talk. Animal, it's good to see you, buddy. That's right. He comes to us from ETH, and from EPFL is TWICE Exoskeleton. They are helping people that have lost the use of their limbs walk again. Silke, thank you so much for being with us today. And Jim,
pleasure.
The both of you.
Thank you.
What was it like for you to be on stage today at Viva Tech showing this technology?
Oh, I think I'm really proud and happy to be here with my team because it's an important place, and I would like every people, disabled people, or paralyzed people to know about that technology and to share that, and that's why it's wonderful to be in a place like that.
So in order to give our viewers a little bit of background, you were an acrobat and a circus professional?
Yes.
And then you had an accident in 2007 that left you paralyzed from the waist down.
Yes, that it is.
And then in 2016, is that correct?
Yeah.
You connected with TWICE and were able to somehow regain what you had lost. What was it like when you took your first steps in the exoskeleton? Can you describe that feeling?
Yes, it was it was amazing. It was very beautiful feeling. I had the impression it was like a dream coming true, but also a dream that I didn't dream anymore, because after the accident the doctors told me I would never walk again, and so I forgot. I didn't think anymore about that. And after 9 years in the wheelchair, when I could stand up for the first time, I thought, but is it true? Oh, my legs are moving, wow.
Did you ever imagine this technology could exist?
No. When I was contacted for the first time, I didn't know anything about exoskeletons. And when the engineers explained me about it, I thought it was for people who were less disabled than me, who were maybe only a little problem at the legs, but not at the waist. And I thought, okay, let's try, but I think it won't work. And and then it worked, and more than better and good, and yeah.
And actually what we're seeing this year is a second version of TWICE, a better, more improved version of the exoskeleton. What is different, and how instrumental were you in helping them come up with the second version? Did you tell them this doesn't work in the first one?
Yes, of course. That was a very important part from me that I had to do, is to tell the engineers what was working, what was not working, to give new ideas about what we could do and what people in my situation need. And that's why we could improve rather quickly. And this new version now is really a step further than the first one, yes.
So it works a little better. Is it heavy?
It's about between 15 and 16 kilograms. Is
it easy to maneuver, to operate? Or?
Yes, it's lightweight. It's not heavy if you think about what it is. It's the lightest exoskeleton in the world that has the capacity to climb upstairs and to move with a completely paralyzed person inside, until 80 kilos.
So someone who can't even use their arms?
Yeah. The person should be able to use the arms.
Yeah. Okay.
But a person who cannot use the legs at all, that does work very good.
And you're working with this team of engineers from EPFL.
Yes.
in Lausanne. What can you tell me about them, about TWICE?
Yes, it's a very serious team, and what I like with them is when I tell them and speak about an idea, about the next time we meet, they made it. And they have a very short reaction time, and it's very interesting because I am working in an artistic, in my job I'm more in an artistic world, because now I do balloon decorations, and before that I was circus artist, but I always have a connection with the EPFL because my father was a physician.
This is interesting, right?
Yes.
It came full circle for you.
Yeah.
You are German originally, but you moved to Switzerland as a
because
child
of my
because
father.
your father was at EPFL.
Yes, yeah.
As a professor.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's funny. And I like to cooperate with that people because they have a type of thinking and developing that is different than in my field, and it's very, yes, we learn from each other and can improve each other with that.
So you really get to see this, your creative, artistic world coming together with technology, and how this has really served to create something incredibly useful.
Because sometimes I give ideas that are not mathematically proven or exact or possible, but the engineers think about my ideas, and then I try to make a schedule and something, and I try always to realize my ideas, and so it's very, well, yes, it's really nice.
And to finish up, if you look forward a little bit and perhaps dream, what would you like to see the exoskeleton be able to do? Like, what is your ultimate goal here?
One of next goals that we are already working with that is that we will be dancing with the exoskeleton. And yes, we just made a few choreographies. It's not ready, but it will be ready soon. And then another step that is very important, but not for me, but for everyone, is to be able to use the exoskeleton in daily life instead of the wheelchair. And I think that will be possible soon, because yes, we really develop the exoskeleton in that direction.
Well, thank you, Silke, so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing those dance moves in the exoskeleton next time we speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
So Tristan, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
To start off, and so TWICE on France Forbes list of innovations to watch at Viva Tech this year, as well as another list, C News is also saying that yours is one of the innovations to watch. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's a great news. I mean, for us, it's an amazing surprise. We were not expecting this. We were coming here with really no expectations, just seeing people just be here, be present, and we're really happy to be recognized, acknowledged for what we're doing.
No expectations?
No expectations. I think you have to see the world with, with positive energy. You have to see the world with ambitions. But if you put too much pressure, if you put too high expectations, then you can only be disappointed in the end.
So again, really good reaction to what you've been putting out there with the TWICE exoskeleton. Are you surprised by this reaction at all?
I think we've had a lot of really good feedback so far, and we're really putting a lot of effort to challenge people, and we're putting a lot of effort coming up with new solutions, coming with surprising ideas, coming surprising new developments, and it's good to be recognized in doing this.
It's so interesting because as we were talking earlier, you were telling me that, I mean, you are a startup, but you're actually in a kind of a pre-startup phase even,
Yeah,
still
absolutely.
in the lab.
So we're still in the lab, we're still in a, let's say, development and research phase, but we like to call ourselves a startup because it gives us this incentive to always put the human in the center of all the considerations. And as a startup, you have to think user-centered, you have to think customer-centered, and that's something that's not really often done in research. and that gives us, let's say, an edge in the research environments, being user-centered instead of science-centered.
Your ambassador, Silke, is a paraplegic, and we've seen how she was telling us how it's very much a case-by-case situation, and that you can adapt the exoskeleton to different conditions.
Exactly, so TWICE is really made around the user, so we really tailor the device to each individual, to each pathology, to each morphology, and we go from the user and then to the device. And we can adapt it to different use scenarios. We've tested it with paraplegics, but also with people with amputation or people who really want to do skiing. So it's really going in different directions.
You can ski with this?
It's something that we've not shown so far. It's coming up soon in the news. Skiing is possible as well. It's one of our new projects.
And Silke said there's some dancing on the horizon?
Exactly, I think it's one of the other projects we have with her, running for a few months now. We really want to get her back on her feet, and not just for walking, but also for other activities that she can dream from.
So Silke has become a bit of an ambassador for you. How did this connection come about? You reached out to her, is that right?
We were looking for someone who can be our test pilot, initially to take part to this competition, which is called the Cybathlon. And we reached out to a lot of groups of wheelchair users, and Silke came out and she said, yeah, I'm interested, maybe we can do something together. And that's how it started initially, and it's been a great time working with Silke.
And now it sounds like she works a little bit as a consultant as well, because she can tell you what works and what doesn't work.
So Silke is always challenging us with new requests, new ideas, new feedback and inputs. For us as an engineer, it's a blessing to have real use cases for our ideas and not come up with solutions and look for problems. We really have problems and we look for solutions for them.
If we go back to your business model, and we said you're in a pre-startup phase, so does this mean that you are not looking for funding yet, and how are you funding your research at the moment, and where are you looking to go?
So at this time we're not funded by investors. We're trying to stay, let's say, we're trying to stay as independent as possible for the longest time possible, so we can really keep the human in the center, keep our human approach, keep our ethics in the center. And being independent and being publicly funded gives us this freedom to really keep our line of research
So I was going to say, you have to pay your bills. So,
Absolutely.
So you do this with public funds
So
from the
right
university?
now
and
we're
from
still in a university, we're still in a lab, and it's really more a startup approach in the research than a startup per se at this time.
Okay, all right. So this is how you're kind of covering your costs, so to speak. And then eventually, what's the dream?
Well, eventually is to put out a device on the market and to reach out to actual people, to actual users. And being able to put a device on the market is actually a dream for an engineer, to help people for real. And that's, of course, that's the end goal.
And as you formulate this dream and take these steps, do you see yourself having to leave Switzerland in order to do this, or do you feel like you're going to continue to get the support you need here?
So I think Switzerland is a great place for development of startups like ours, having the combination of robotics, high precision machining, high precision engineering, and the healthcare approach of Switzerland. I think that's a great place for a startup like us.
But do you still feel like after you move out of the startup phase, are you going to have to go look for funding? Because many startups are telling me this, that they don't get the financial support they need just in Switzerland, that you have to go out to Silicon Valley or you have to go out to other places.
So it's true that the funding place in Switzerland was not so well into growth funding so far. And if you're really looking for a Series B or Series C, it's quite tough to find funding in Switzerland.
Why?
It's a really good question. I think it's not commonplace in Switzerland to really invest large amount of money, and it's just a matter of philosophy. I think it's changing now with the years, and it's evolving. There's some really new funds that are coming up now, and it's going to be an exciting time for us as well. With the timing, we might really fit into this changing times in Switzerland.
And it feels like around the EPFL ecosystem is also quite, how should we say, dynamic, which works for you, right?
Uh-huh. So it's true that the EPFL ecosystem is great for a startup like us because it's, it's so bubbly. There's so many things happening. There's so many other startups, so many labs you can pick research from, so many collaborations with other companies that are also implanted on the campus, and so many students you can also choose from. So many students, so much talent that we can benefit from. For us, it's a blessing to be on campus at EPFL.
All right, and just to wrap it up, why go with an exoskeleton? What was I imagine this kind of thing only comes from some kind of personal motivation, am I right?
So I think exoskeletons always been kind of a childhood dream for me,
A childhood dream?
Yeah, exactly. I think as a kid you can always dream up new ideas and having like a robotic suit around your body that can compensate for disabilities or help you do more things. I think it's always stuck in my mind as a kid already.
But did you know someone who could have used this, or were you close to somebody that?
I would always play with Lego and look around for inspiration, and it's just something that comes to your mind as, oh, that would be cool to have a suit that could help you do better things or do things better.
But there's a jump from helping you do things better to changing people's lives.
Exactly. As a roboticist, being able to use our knowledge, to use our expertise for the benefit of people, that was always a criteria for me coming out of EPFL, a criteria for what to do next, and being able to use this background that I have as a roboticist to help the life of people. That was just the only way possible forward.
All right, and last question. If we look at the cost of something like this, what are we talking about? Can you put a price tag on it in the moment, and do you see insurances covering something like this moving forward?
So there are already devices like this one on the market, maybe not as performant, not as fast, not as lightweight, and their price tag is in the range between 80 and 150,000 euros. And for us, the value that it's providing with respect to the price tag, there's kind of a gap in between these two things, between the value it's providing and the price tag. And we absolutely need to bring the cost down and bring the price tag down for people with disabilities before they can actually afford one. And that's something we've been tackling with modularity, being able to address more use cases, address more markets in a kind of horizontal way, is a way for us to reduce the cost, to reduce the pressure cost on the individual components. So we can keep the same motors, the same electronics, the same batteries, all these components that can be shared across different markets, so we can actually reduce the price on each of those devices.
Wonderful. All right, well, Tristan, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, and congratulations on the success of Exoskeleton TWICE.